Okay, so welcome to the next session in our series Kala Evam Adhyatm. Today we have a very interesting session titled Art as an Expression of Light. And to facilitate that, we have with us a trained artist, Jaisal Thakur. She studied at Sir J.J. School of Art in Mumbai. So she's joining us from Mumbai right now. But after studying at this prestigious institution, she kind of took a little different path by pursuing scholarship in art more than the practice of art. And she is the founder of a not-for-profit organization called Bodhana Arts and Research Foundation, where she focuses on researching and publishing books on Indian art. So she also is an independent curator of artworks. In fact, just yesterday, I saw a beautiful painting on beautiful exhibition on tantric art that she has curated, and it is currently on display at an international seminar on tantric religion going on at Pondicherry University. So very beautifully done. So she's very passionate, in terms of her research work, which is about questioning and recontextualizing history with a specific emphasis on India's modernism and abstraction, particularly in Indian painting. So she is very meticulous with the archival effort and the scholarly work that she does in the field of art history and art scholarship. And her interest is also in revitalizing the art history of this particular period, the abstract and modernistic period in art, Indian painting. She's also interested in the impact of sound on artists and the human psyche, Indian miniatures, art education, and the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. So let's see how and in what way she integrates all of these interests in the next 45-50 minute session that we have with us. We are very happy to have you with us, Jaisal. Please carry on.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. It's very exciting, when I get invited to do presentations on art, and especially in the light of the mother and Sri Aurobindo. Yeah, that's one introduction. I guess that I think she just missed saying, or I think it's understood.
Yes.
Is that I have studied art also from Bhakti Bain, who was an ardent devotee. Just let me briefly just say this so you'll understand where I'm coming from. From Bombay, since childhood, I've been going to her place, and I guess that's where it kind of got into me. That entire understanding of art and aesthetics of, and in the light of the mother and Sri Aurobindo, like that consciousness, and what I even try to do through all the projects that I do independently or through Bodhana are trying to talk about that consciousness, or talk about that intuition, or talk about that synthesis that they speak about, and the importance of beauty and aesthetics in the development of human consciousness. So okay, just some practical questions. Can you see the screen clearly? Is it clear? And okay, fine. Now, art is an expression of light, and I've written to see, to hear, and to discern. And since we have not many people, I would like to have this as an interactive session. So I'm just going to throw some questions, and let's just interact.
Jaisal, just 1 minute. Do you want to make it a full screen?
If I do a full screen, I just want to. How do I read my notes? I just want to see if this.
Okay.
Is this better?
Visually, it's better, but you do whatever you're comfortable with.
Sure.
I just meant in case you want us to see some nice painting. So you carry on with the way you want to do it. So
okay. Is this better?
Yes, much better, much better. Cool. Thank you.
So light. Okay, so what is light actually? What is light? Let's just, it's a sunlight, right? We always see it as a material light, no? And it's because of light that we're able to see each other right now. There's a shadow, there's perspective, there's a dimension, there's volume, right? So it's all mainly to do with seeing. But can we hear light? How does If you close your eyes and I ask you to feel light, how would you express it? So if you all have paper and pens in front of you and want to do these expressions, please go ahead and do it. But one is, how would you see, anyone I'll talk and I'll ask a child what is light, the first answer that comes is the bulb, which is a very practical thing, the tube light, and then the sun, right? Or the stars. But now I'm asking you, close your eyes and tell me, what is the experience? You've not seen the sun, you've not seen the bulb, you've not had the experience of light, but what is light? How would you express it? Right? Does it have a sound? Does light have a sound? We all know that light translates as sound and sound translates as light. That's a very practical scientific explanation we know. But out here right now, if I tell you to close your eyes and tell me what is the sound of light or what is the sound of the sun, and how would you express it? Can you touch light? What would it be like to touch light? Of course, the first thing that comes to my mind is the heat. But after the heat, is it soft? What is the texture of light? And how would you paint all these? How would you express all these? Yeah? Sri Aurobindo has written a poem, Light. I think that this is one of his earliest poems. And I would like to read it maybe at the end. Yeah, it's a very long poem, so I won't read the entire thing, but this is one of his first poems. Okay. Should I just read a passage of it right now before we begin? Like invoking
Yes.
Aurobindo? Yeah.
If this is the poem that I'm thinking of, this is the one he wrote at the age of 11, right?
Yes, yes. So I'm just going to read one paragraph. It was written in 1883. From the quickened womb of the primal gloom, the sun rolled black and bare, till I wove him a vest for his Ethiopian breast, of the threads of my golden hair. And when the broad tent of the firmament arose on its airy sparse, I penciled the hue of its matchless blue and spangled it around with stars. The first thing that attracted me to Sri Aurobindo, like as I said, when I was a child and I was exposed to it, his poetry, like each line is like a painting. You know, the sun rolled black and bare till I wove him a vest of his Ethiopian breast, of the threads of my golden hair. I mean, it's such a beautiful image, of a painting. Okay, let me share again. So now let's get on to the journey of art. So the first chapter, the entire presentation is divided into three parts. The first is to know, to see, to feel. And this is again from the mother, where she talks about art as a discipline, comparing it to yoga. And in both of them, you have to be more and more conscious. In both, you have to learn to see and feel something that is beyond the ordinary vision and feeling, to go within and bring out from there deeper things. Now, what does it really mean? Now, what do these look like to you? When we are out in nature, when we are out and about in life in nature, and we see the trees, the landscape, the flowers, we enjoy it, correct? And that's what you recognize all these elements as. We recognize it. We enjoy its beatitude. We enjoy its color, its form, correct? That's what we enjoy. Now my question is, we're just going to focus on the idea of a flower, okay? Like how an artist is depicting a flower. Now this is a very realistic representation of a flower, correct? It's the exact volume, the texture, the light and the shade. And everything in art and painting specifically is to do with light, because that's how it begins. The artist is depicting the light. Now look at this painting. This is by Turner. This is also recognizable. But you see, there's a complete shift from these paintings and these paintings. What is the difference? Can someone point some observations? If someone wants to. This is more realistic. This is more atmospheric. This is more gestural. He's just capturing the mood of the flower. Now this is by Leonardo. Here there is no light and shadow. Like in this one, you can still see the light and the shadow. This is total realism, correct? Here there is no light and shadow. It's just the organicity of the flower that he's capturing. Now, when we are in nature, do we experience nature like this? We don't, right? Most of us, we don't. It's fine. Even I don't, you know. Now look at this. This is another artist, George O'Keeffe, and she paints only flowers. And this doesn't even look like a flower till I tell you it's a flower. But doesn't it even look like that light that's coming out? Like it's blooming, it's aspiring, you know, like to grow, to open up. There's such an emotion, there's such a light in it. Now these are other flowers done so delicately. So what I'm even trying to do is I'm not following any strict chronology of history. I'm just cutting across time zones and cultures and just showing different expressions. That's the focus. Now look at these. Don't they look so delicate? You know, you kind of sense the delicacy of the flowers. Here you don't really see the delicacy. Here you see the warmth, the growth, the aspiration. They're so different, but these are all expressions of flowers. This is all from nature. This is all from an expression of seeing and experiencing nature. To see, to hear, to feel, to discern. Now look at these. A lot of Indian art and Asian art, all the textiles are based only on flower motives. You know, why? Why do flowers become motives? You see a lot of nature patterns in our Asian and Indian sculpture and textile and craft. How do they become patterns? How was it perceived? Now, if I ask all of us to do a pattern of light, what would you do? How would you do a pattern of light? Here we have total folk art, which is very symbolic. They're all flowers. They're all flowers. Only one is this Indian folk is a tree. But can you see the different representations of just flowers? This gets a little modern, it gets a little contemporary. It is done maybe from a psychological perspective, an intuitive perspective, but it's a flower. And this is complete abstraction. This is complete geometry, which if we all look at Indian art, especially Tantra art, since Beluji mentioned it, Tantra art is total geometry. And that is abstraction, extreme geometry, extreme mathematics. How is Shiv and Shakti represented in Tantra or in Indian art? As a circle, as a square, as a triangle, correct? Two triangles, you know, in reverse and in one another, overlapping, is Purush and Prakriti. What an abstraction. So these are also flowers represented in their abstract forms. I'm going to come to the aspect of light slowly, but first I want us to understand different expressions of art, because for most of us, art is only this. We don't go beyond this. We're not able to appreciate anything beyond this because we don't recognize it then. We're like, is this art? But all expression is art. Any expression that is touching an aspect of of nature is art. So all these are aspects of a flower, from realism to organic expression, to its delicacy, to its very conceptual concept of birth, to an very emotional or intuitive representation, or a complete abstraction, which is geometry. All these are flowers. Now, these are expressions that are coming from nature, from outside. Now, there's an expression that even comes from within, which is from intuition. Now, this is again Sri Aurobindo's quote, which I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm just going to touch upon it. What he's trying to say is that there is a supreme intelligence, a supreme imagination, a supreme energy that lurks, acts, and feels. And if the artist has a spiritual vision, he can paint it, he can depict it. Now, where does this image come from? Is this from nature? This is the Vishwarupa. It's an Indian miniature done in the 18th century. This is very different from the flowers I showed you, right? That was an external, you see something and you depict it in abstract ways. There are many expressions of it. Here, it's something very internal, it's a very spiritual, it's a divine experience. The light is within. Like if you see, this Vishwarupa is in a flame. It's Agni. Correct? So there's a different light which you completely don't see. You feel it. This is Vishwarupa. So how did these artists paint this? Now, what was the inspiration of this? This is, of course, the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Purana, or all these texts, the religious texts, the spiritual texts which describe the forms of gods and goddesses. So Indian art, and especially if you look at Indian miniatures, bases itself on this. It's very different. We've never painted landscapes, and this presentation is not to highlight or overpower any one culture over the other, but just to understand, because I get this question a lot, that why are Indian artists not good in realism? Because we were not looking at nature. Our focus of light was very different. Our focus of light was internal. We did not focus on light and shadow or on volume. Like, there is no volume here. There is no light and shadow here. There's no perspective here. But still, you can feel the gravitas of the Vishwarupa. Right? And these paintings are so small. You know how small this painting is? It's only 12 inches by 9 inches. So look at the detailing that has been done in such a small paper. Right? So we need to understand the difference of culture, the difference in, there is a different cognition that's happening in the West and in the East. The West is looking at light through nature, through an external light. And here in the East, we're looking at light as an internal light, which begins from inspiration, imagination, and intuition. Our birth is not nature. It's clearly different. Now, even before miniatures, I'm not showing Tantra today because it would just get too abstract. But please, all of you, look at Tantra art. If you'll have the time, go look at the exhibition. It's pure geometry. We begin with pure abstraction. That is our birth. That is Indian art. South Asian art, actually, because right now India and South Asia, it's all okay. So this is Vishwarupa. This is another Vishwarupa. Again, it's only 10 inches by 6 inches. Look at the detailing, what he's trying to depict. There is nature. They are depicting nature in this Vishwarupa. You see. Now I'm intentionally showing a different form, which is not very beautiful, but seems like the Mahakal. right? This is the Mahakala Rupa. It's a Bhutan painting, again 19th century. But look at the Mahakal. It's done in there's such grace in the form. Can you all see the details, or you'll need me to enlarge it?
Yeah, if you can enlarge this one just a little, that would be nice. This
Sure.
one in particular, because it's a lot of
Yeah. See,
subtle
can you
details.
see the flames? This is Mahakal. Look at these red. These are like flames. Look at the way it's done. The fieriness of it, the way it's depicted. It's depicted so calmly. There's no chaos in the work. And it's painted in dark colors, but it's not dark. It's very graceful. And this is my favorite. So in all my presentations, I show this one work because for us, light is even Ananda. That's how we express it. Okay, so here we have two circles, which is a circle is always depicted is a symbol of light, right? The sun. But in us, we call it the mandala, correct? So here we have two mandalas. In one, you see Radha and Krishna dancing in the middle, and only the gopis at the outer circle. And in the other one, you see Radha and Krishna in the middle, and the gopis are also dancing with Krishna. It's a depiction of union. Now, the artist could have just done one circle as to show the cosmic dance, the union. But this is the way they depicted it, so imaginative. So this sense of imagination, this was again done in the 18th century, didn't exist in Western art. Because for them, they were rooted in the realism and the entire modernism was an effort to get out of the realism. That's how modernism grew for them. Okay. Now we'll come to light, right? To see, to hear, to discern. So consciousness as light. So I actually have a very detailed presentation. Consciousness as light, consciousness as sound, consciousness as rhythm, consciousness as space. But here we're going to just focus on consciousness as light because our focus is light. So here we have two quotations. Light is primarily a spiritual manifestation of the divine, which Asian and Indian art represents. Okay. Reality, manifestation of the divine reality, illuminative and creative. Material light is a subsequent representation or conversion of it into matter for the purpose of the material energy. This is what Western art was trying to depict, the material energy. And we have a beautiful quote by Leonardo, which again is talking about the quality of light. Look at light and admire its beauty. Then close your eyes and then look again. What you saw is no longer there, and what you will see later is not. Very philosophical, right? Now, do we experience these things every day? No, right? We are every day just looking at art or looking at each other or looking at life in a very subjective way. We use our drishti, which is actually not drishti. We just actually use it as a faculty of seeing to identify things, identify the tree, identify the rose, identify people. We don't go beyond that faculty of just seeing. We don't go beyond that faculty of imagining what is behind that tree, what is the texture of the tree, what is the color of the tree, what is the movement happening within the tree. Can we experience it? And then can we paint it? So we get restricted only at the physical element of nature, of seeing. We are unable to cognate it beyond it, go into the layers of what is behind all these objects and what is behind nature, or what is even behind me. When you're looking at me, am I just Jaisal? No, right? We all know that we're built with atoms of energy and vibration. So how would you experience it? How would you even meditate upon those forms and then express those forms. So here we have a lot of artists who've expressed it. So again, I'm going to be shifting between the realism and the abstract, the East and the West, just to show differences. So here we have again Turner, who was very well known for his realistic landscapes and the use of color. So if you look at it, look at the detail. And what did he say? Light is therefore color. That was his statement. He defined light as color. And he's again known for his beautiful sunsets and sunrises, like his sea and ships, and that's what he's known for. Now this is him again. And this is so different from these paintings, correct? Now what is the difference? What changed? This is so realistic. This is done with such precision, such detail. You can, I'll enlarge this if you'll want for just a minute, and y'all can see it closely. The details of this fire and the smoke, the details of the clouds, the texture of the clouds. I'm showing you two different ones. The detail of the reflection. It's done in such detail. These are all oil colors. Now, this itself is an art. I agree. This is a beautiful art. But things have even changed. Did the share screen go somewhere?
No.
Y'all can see?
Yes.
We are still seeing the realistic one, not the other one.
Okay, one sec. I don't know where it's gone. I'll just stop it and share it again. I'm so sorry.
No. This is one glitch in Zoom. I don't know. It happens with me also sometimes. Yeah.
I still don't see it.
Oh.
Okay, hang on. I'm so sorry.
No. Not at all.
Just 1 second, huh?
Yeah. Okay, good. Monica Chand is also here, and hello, Ravi Bhushan ji is also here. Dr. Monica Suri is also here. Welcome. And Dr. Sudevi, who often joins us. Bindu ji is also here. She's another practicing artist.
Yeah, we could maybe
Shilpa is also here. No,
Who
we
is
can't
this?
see him still.
Sorry?
Do you want help? We can ask Satya to present from his side, but then it would be very difficult for you to.
No, I've just shot everything. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm
Ah,
just opening and
no worries.
Yeah.
we'll just yeah, I have it right. Yeah, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. So here we have Turner again in his later years, where it was not such a defined and realistic depiction of nature or landscape, but a more atmospheric feel of light that he was trying to paint. So he moved from an absolute realism to more of a mood. Uh, um, Very clearly, I would call it atmospheric mood, because you can still see it as a landscape. You can still feel the mountains, the perspective, its softness, the softness of light, or um, the quality of air. That is what he's trying to depict. It's transparency, you know. And here we jump into a very modern Indian artist, Raza, who's known for his bindus. but this is his early work. And I intentionally wanted to show this painting right after this is because he's titled it The Red Sun, right? So again, it's a very abstract representation of a village. I don't know if y'all can perceive it, but here, this is the village and this is the sun. It's not necessarily circular, or it's not doesn't have the light that we see in Turner's painting, but there is this energy, this quality of heat and energy that the sun emits, that he's trying to depict. Here is another painting by him, which is a more subtle expression of light. See, now the sun becomes prominently like a bindu, and this is how the bindu emerges for him, from the sun, from light. What is the translation of the text that he's written here? The lamps are blowing off in the holy places. Put the heart ablaze, since the light is not enough. So put the heart ablaze, since the light is not enough. It's talking about an inner light. Yeah. And here is another depiction by Raza, where, because he used a lot of text by Kabir and a lot of other artists on his paintings, and he tried to depict them. And what this means is, as it drowns in the dark, so it becomes illuminous. This is Kabir's Doha. Jo jo doobe shyam mein, tyo tyo ujjwal hoya. And I just have a beautiful line written by Sri Aurobindo and Savitri that also goes with this. In darkness's core, she dug out wells of light. Right? So these are different depictions of light, how artists look at it. Now, would you ever think of light in this manner, or would you ever think of depicting in this manner? See, normally when you tell people to paint light, they will paint the sun. That also in a circle with lines around it. So do we not experience the light? We experience light every day, so how do we experience it? How do we express it? Now here we have, again, we're coming out of it. We're coming out of the conceptual recesses of light and into nature and light. So here we have Van Gogh, again, another famous artist. And again, look at this picture and look, it looks like a landscape. But the treatment is again very different from Turner's, correct? You see these curvy lines that he's trying to paint, and they're very thick impasto works. If anybody's really heard of Van Gogh or seen his works or familiar with him. So why did he paint it like this? What are these curved lines? And it's not just in one painting. This painting is, of course, called Starry Night. You see all his paintings, there's a rhythm he's trying to capture, correct? Yeah, there's a rhythm he's trying to capture. So what is he painting? What was he experiencing? So he was experiencing the subtlety of light, the vibration in nature that we know of, but of course we can't see it with the naked eye. So that is what he was trying to capture. And of course he was considered, he was in his later years, he was in an asylum, and he was considered, I don't like to say the word, but mad. But according to me, he was a genius. He was just not in the right place, correct? Now you have to even know that all these artists in the West who kind of defied the existing norm of the Catholic religious, forms of expression, which was again very realistic, very light, was the sun and angels and Jesus Christ. And when they did these kind of paintings, they were of course not accepted. So we know Van Gogh today, and he's so famous today because it was later that critics and collectors, or people who study art, kind of realized what he was painting and saw the genius in him. But when he actually did it, he was not really accepted. Nobody really understood what he was doing. But here we're coming to this, and how did this artist sustain doing it for so many years? He continued doing these paintings even though he was not accepted, and they used to just be lying. Nobody was buying them. So even this is sadhana, no? This is commitment, an unknowing sadhana. Like they may not be knowing that this is a sadhana, but it was a calling to that light. So when that is a sadhana. Then we have Claude Monet, who tried to capture shifting light. Like what Leonardo said, even Claude Monet was trying to capture. That light is creating an atmosphere and it is changing every moment. How do we capture it? So he was trying to capture it. This is the best example. So what he did is he painted this cathedral. Okay, like you see, each one is different. Okay, so he was in one spot and he had several canvases. So every day he would be at that spot and he painted each canvas. Okay, so the first one he painted, okay, he painted that for maybe like 20 minutes. Then the light changed, he took the other canvas and he painted that for days, trying to capture the light or on that particular monument, on the architecture, and capture the different lights that were falling on it. So it became like a sequence, it became like a mathematics, a study, a science for him, capturing the light at that moment and every day consecutively. So it was an experiment. So see, art is going beyond just painting nature or painting the sun as a circle or yellow color. It's becoming a manifestation of how light is. What is light doing to nature? What is light doing to architecture? What is light doing to humanity? What does it do? How does it embrace us? And how does an artist capture it? Then we come to miniatures, again, Indian miniatures. How did we capture light? Now you see there's a drastic difference between this and this. Now you see here again two paintings. Now Indian miniatures were based mainly on moods. So the light here is translating as a mood, as the time of the day, as a particular gesture. So we painted Raginis, Ragmala series, which were on the mood of waiting for the lover, or jealousy, or anger, or Shringhara Rasa. They're multiple, but the most prominent are 9, and all the paintings are depicting these moods. Now, if you look at this, the painting on the left, you see these 3 women sitting, and one is just lying down. So she's basically waiting for her lover. She's like, I'm waiting for him. And it's like a turmoil. You see, there's like a storm. And look at the way the storm is painted. It doesn't really feel like a storm. And she's so oblivious of the storm. She doesn't care about the storm. Where is my lover? The mood is a mood of restlessness. And when you look at the painting on the right, again it's lightning, and there are 2 women who've just stepped out to enjoy that sight of lightning, the lightning before the rain. And look at the depiction of light in both these. It's so different. It's so different from any of these. I'm just going to be sharing a few more Raginis, Ragmala series, because this is my favorite. Indian miniature, according to me, is the epitome of Indian art. I mean, I know a lot of people think it's Ajanta caves, but for me, it's miniatures. So each of these ragas is depicting the mood. See, this is a Hindol raga. This is a Mandakili Ragini. It is depicting a mood, a gesture. This is my favorite, Kedar Ragini, silent. Here we have Nicholas Roerich, who actually was inspired by our Himalayan ranges, and he's painted them immensely. So these are the Himalayan ranges. And again, you can see the depiction of light, you see the source of light. But again, he's trying to capture its very spiritual quality that he experienced in these mountain ranges. Then we have Bereshwar Sen. Now you see here, you again don't see a depiction of light. It's becoming an atmosphere, a mood. And this is totally contemporary. This is James Turrell, who creates light spaces. So the entire thing is like a light space, like a light architectural, inviting you to experience it. Like, here, see this. Light transforms as color, what Turner said there, and this becoming an experience. So do we have time? I just have a few more slides. Should I finish it or? Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, how Turrell is transforming light into space. I'm going back again into Chinese and Japanese landscapes, where there were artists who depicted light as empty space. So again, it's just totally black and white, it's monochromatic. Light is becoming the silent mind, and they're inviting you into that emptiness. Chinese, Buddhist, Japanese art speak a lot about emptiness. They speak a lot about the shunyata, the void. But that void is actually not empty. It's inviting you into a space which is pregnant with a lot of energy and a lot of imagination and intuitive light. All these paintings that were done again in the 14th century or the 16th century were acts of meditation. All these artists were asked to meditate a lot on their own scriptures, like you'll see a lot of calligraphy, and then paint that very spontaneously. So light here translates as an empty space, very different from this, correct? So actually, what did we understand from light till now? Light is becoming mood, light is becoming space, light is becoming volume. Now, this is totally abstract. Now, we're going to go more towards an abstraction. Here we have Natwar Bhavsar, who was again influenced. He's an Indian artist, but living abroad, America. But he's very inspired and influenced again by the Rangolis, and the tradition of colors that our culture holds. And when he was a child, he had this experience because he's from the village. He had this experience of the motes of light. I'm sure we all have had it at some point if we are from the village. That how the light is moving through sand and it creates those motes, that experience, and that has just laid such an impression that that's what he's trying to paint. And these are large canvases. This is like 66 by 195 inches. Of course, there's an element of color that comes in. There's an element of sound that comes in, that unheard sound. It's not music, it's just sound. And light does translate as sound, correct? Here you clearly see it as a light depiction. So all of these are depictions of light. And what I'm even showing you is these are artworks not done by artists just as one-off works or experiments. They have been pursuing these concepts for their entire life, and that's what they're known for. So it's not just one work, not one experiment. It's their practice. That's what they're known for. Here we have our very own Pierre Legrand, who's an artist from Auroville. And of course, he's a follower of the mother and Sri Aurobindo. And his work is all about vibration and light again. Now, very different. So you don't see a direct depiction of light here. light translates, right? This is one of my favorite artists again, G.R. Santosh. So he, um, very interesting. So his name is Ghulam Rasool. So he's actually a Muslim, but he follows all our the tantric and Kashmiri tantra and philosophy and everything. Like he's practiced tantra, and all his paintings are actually depiction of those experiences, of those meditative experiences. Like this is a poem written by him. An artist makes an ideal reality visible. The communication of the realized unknown is the retrieval of light from darkness. It is visualizing the hidden, designing, carving, sculpting the form of sound. This, in essence, is a relationship between mantra and yantra. So, this is what Indian art is all about. And again, see now, light is transforming into a geometry, which is the highest form of abstraction. This again is his painting. This is actually a Sri Yantra, huh? You can see it as Shiv and Shakti, but in a contemporary, very modern way. Now we are going a little more further into abstraction. Now we have two artists here, Vasudev Gaitonde and Nasreen Mohammadi. And again, these are my favorites. My actual research practice in art began with Gaitonde because I was so fascinated with this image, and I was like, because I saw it as light. You know, these canvases are like really large, they're like the human size, and when you actually stand in front of them, it feels like it's emanating light. But you see these geometry forms, it feels like an origami, like, you know, light has been folded and it's just opened and placed here like one glass. And here you have Nasreen Mohammadi on the right, who works only with pencil, and it looks like a prism of light and shadow. Like she's playing with that entire aspect. Yeah, this is again them. Okay, that's it for me.
Wow. So you want us to draw light now?
Yes, please. I mean, if you all have any observations, any conversations, or we could do some experiences. I could take you all
Yeah.
through something, and we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was especially the last piece, the Gaitonde, the one which you said has that geometric look, light has been folded. I mean, I was just really imagining standing in front of that. You said it's a pretty much human-sized canvas, and how that thing will take you. And I also wanted to just quickly mention when you first asked us to close our eyes and visualize light. So yes, there is always the sun image that first comes, the golden yellow. But there is also the blue of the light. And I think that's what I really, maybe, I don't know, too much influence of Van Gogh or what, but the blue in the way he captures light, the
Yeah.
blue, which is so prominent because we connect it with light of the moon or whatever. But I just had,
No, it's
and
absolutely so. That's what. So actually, what I'm trying to say is that there is no definite, like we just saw so many expressions of light, right? And these were not my interpretations alone. This is even a very structured presentation where the artists are talking about these concepts, and I'm presenting it to you. I'm just putting it together. So
yes,
what I'm trying to present is that there is no one definite expression of the sun or the light. There are many. One is a
yes,
subtle expression, one is an imaginative expression, one is a very intuitive expression. So the purpose of my when I do these presentations, one is to open the audience to appreciating art, because I feel that in India we're not so open to art and modernism and understanding these abstract forms. And two, to open our own perception of nature, our own aspects of seeing and hearing and discerning. Like seriously, like if I ask you to touch light, like how would you feel it and how would you paint it? You know, Like I'm serious, like this exercise should be given to all of you all, and maybe you all try it, 1 week, like one day see light, one day hear light, one day touch it. And what would those expressions be? They would not be anything like what is prejudged and conditioned, you know. So the idea is to break the discourse, break the perceptions.
Yes. So I have some thoughts running in my head, but I would like to hear from others if there are any comments or questions, or whether we would like to go into the experiential part. Yes, the
Yeah,
inner
I
life.
think Jaisalji, it's an amazing presentation, and it raised many questions in my mind, though, because in Auro University we teach science of living, in which science is very important part, and we are so orthodoxly immune. The way you said that when somebody asks you to draw sun, we normally make round and then rays, coming out of that, but we cannot. You know do that, because it is like given that
Yeah.
sun means this. But today I think if we give this kind of exploration to a child in the beginning, uh,
Yes,
it breaks all that orthodox way of teaching and learning.
absolutely.
I'm more interested in knowing about the sound of light, because you said hearing, and uh, this depiction of light is normally, we can visualize. Uh, but if you can little bit, talk about sound, or
So for
how do
me,
we hear light?
how do we hear light? So I didn't intention, because I didn't want to make it like an overdose of things here. But
Yeah,
as I said, that there's an extension. So for me, it's consciousness. Everything is
right.
like consciousness. So consciousness is depicted through light. Consciousness is depicted through rhythm. So basically, light translates as rhythm. So there are artists who've been uh, trying to depict this vibration of nature. So music in nature, rhythm in nature, or a symmetry in nature, which also is very close to geometry and music. So I mean, if we have time, I'm happy to show a few examples of those, or maybe we could, I mean, I don't know, do that later, or I could do that with you personally. But if you want to know some artists, Ganesh Haloi, for example, who's an Indian artist, or Vasily Kandinsky, who is known as a pioneer of abstraction in the West, who kind of broke all these norms of realism and everything, and he was the first German abstractionist. Okay,
Hmm.
and he wrote this book, The Spiritual and Abstract Art, and all his art was about expressing music in nature. And he was indirectly influenced a lot by theosophy, and he kind of believed that everything is Nad Brahma, that sound is the creator of this world, you know. So
Hmm.
you find all these correlations. So Kandinsky, then even Paul Klee, who's done many paintings on the music, and art and music in nature. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Beluji, we will invite Jaisalji again to
Yes.
bring these kind of aspects, because this is very important for, at least for me. I'm curious that how do we consciousness, particularly when you are talking about uh, a sound in light, and how do we hear, how do we, and then particularly I'm more interested in intuition,
Yeah.
intuitive art, that is like part of us though, but mm, how it comes out, it's very important. And
So, I see all artists are intuitive.
right.
Okay. Uh, but there are, of course, layers and levels to it, which when you just look at it, you can make out. And I'm not here to judge anyone, but if I showed you that the Chinese artists,
Yeah.
it's a black and white landscape, and it is so abstract, na, like you can't even make out it's a landscape. कोई ऐसे ही देख के बोलेगा तो बोलेगा कि you just put brush strokes, you know.
Mm.
It's a landscape. It's done so intuitively, so spontaneously. It's painted right after an act of meditation. Like you meditate and you paint. You know, it's a result, you know. So I would even say that, you know, I don't mind doing this again, but I've always insisted that if it's more interactive, where y'all are also experiencing it, I'm talking, but to now for you to experience it, then you have to paint, you'll have to do some exercises, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
So we have an artist with us, Binduji. She just messaged me 2 of her drawings that she did while listening to you.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to share that.
Yes, we'd love
Hopefully I
to.
can. So
Jaisalji, Namaste Jaisalji. It was a really enlightening session.
I don't know
Hope
if
you are
you can see this one.
Can you make it big, like click on it so it becomes big?
Yeah. So this is the one. Is it visible?
No.
No? Okay. See, this is where I think we get into, how
Can
do
you
I?
just put it on the group and we can just see
Okay.
it?
Yeah. So here it is now. There is one drawing. This I think you should be able to see now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. Yes.
So, and there is one more. I'll put it in the group. I think that's also, I mean, the chat thing also is a very good idea. The other one is, okay, I'll have to put it, yeah. Binduji, if you have them, can you just put it in the chat window? How do I
And
attach?
Binduji can also show directly, na? Because
Yeah,
it is
and exactly.
I think I'm not able to share because that's not the right. Na?
I think Satya has to give access.
Yes. So how do I attach in a?
So can I send image in the chat box?
Yeah, that's what I'm also wondering, if how we do it.
There is a file photo. Yes, option is coming in the chat box. Let me see.
Okay, I can't even see that one.
No, I was saying,
see
Beluji, if you want to share it in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
I think you were sharing it nicely.
Yeah,
Beluji,
so
your
just,
image was visible, quite visible.
yeah, see now I think I'm able to share in the chat box one. And where is the other?
This is just
Just give me a minute. I think I can show you the other one also now. Okay, so I showed the first one.
In the meantime, anybody else has any comments?
Second one is this.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So this is the second one. Oh, we were talking about Tantra art, right?
Yes, yes. So this is
the energy rising. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, the moment you started, Jaisalji, I felt light at the heart center. So this is what I started with.
Yeah. So I think now you can see both the way I set it up. So this one and this one.
Lovely.
Wow.
Yeah, so now if I'm just saying that if Binduji takes this further and explores this, that's when it becomes a language. It constructs itself as a language. And that's when it becomes art.
It's just because that I could relate it to it.
Yes, yes.
Because I've been experiencing, and the words you were saying, now I was actually seeing that light as unheard sound, or light as something coming from inside. So these are the things when you experience, I think it becomes very easy to pen to bring it into the material form. Otherwise,
you are still depicting.
It will be just physical depiction, as you said, that Western artists used to see light through volume, light, and shade, and we have to experience by closing our eyes. Indian artists try to see light by closing, by going within, by closing the outer outlets of light. So this is actually one of the techniques of meditation also, that you start seeing a candle flame and you watch it for a while, and then you close your eyes for a longer period of time and try to see that flame inside growing and and taking that light within as a source to see yourself, to see your consciousness, whatever. It's quite so. This is, I really liked the way you expressed light in so many facets, so many uh, visions. Beautiful. Thank you, Jaisalji, for this very nice presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question here for you, Jaisal. You talked about, especially going back to the quote from the mother, how art and yoga are alike in the sense, the ability to see, to feel, to go beyond what is on the surface. And we just saw these drawings by Binduji. Okay, she's been also trained as an artist. You are a trained artist, and there are probably Monica with us, trained artists, or at least, now she's working with it. Rai is also there. Yes, Rai is a trained artist. So I'm wondering, in terms of art education, or you said about art appreciation, we are not taught like that. But most of us who don't go through a rigorous training in art, spirituality can be one way to go into or to develop, because it's like yoga, you can develop these inner senses, inner seeing, inner feeling. But how do we bring it into our education system so we encourage this kind of development of seeing beyond or beneath or under the surface?
Taking from the mother's quote, it's a discipline. So it has to be done in a disciplined manner. Now, again, a little bit of a difference between the West and us is that, unfortunately, art, all forms of art in our culture, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but is looked upon as entertainment. What actually the art is, what Sri Aurobindo and the mother are saying, that the first, there's a quote by the mother and Sri Aurobindo, the first and the foremost use of art is the aesthetic, which is, aesthetic, beauty, okay? And I don't know what the second is. I think the second is intellectual. And then the third is the spiritual, right? Yeah. So, but we've not even arrived at the first, which is the aesthetic. We still look at art, and like a lot of people look at art as, okay, we have a house and we have a green sofa, so we want a red painting. Correct? So, see, this is a very, very important difference. We don't have the culture of art appreciation, which is a very core difference, which has to change at a core level, not just in schools, in all of us, even in me. So what if I'm trained as an artist, right? So the first step that I would say for all of us to do is to start just appreciating, knowing, going out and appreciating art for what it is, not seeing it from the sense ki, is it looking beautiful to the eye or no? Keeping that is a difference I'm trying to say, that even our Indian sense of art has changed, because we had the Britishers come and we are not trained realistic painters, but realistic art is the most appreciated. If I will show a realistic painting here, I'm sure a lot of people would have liked it. Oh, this is so beautiful. And the Gaitonde, nobody would have understood ki kya hai. Or the Raza, if I'll show you a Bindu, or anything which is geometrical, and the thing will go, even I can make this. So my answer to that, to a lot of people when they come and say this to me, is, I'm like, I ask them what are they doing, what is their career. Okay, so I said, now leave your job and do this all your life. See, you have to understand, it's not just at an education level, it is at our very core level. For all of us, how many of 15 people here we are, art is looked upon as only as color and decoration and something that pleases the eye. We are just there. We are not able to go only beyond that. So the first step would be even the schools or the people have to first start knowing, do we know that how many forms of miniature paintings are there? Have we ever gone and looked at our own cultural heritage? Do we go to the Ajanta? Have we done all this? No, we don't. So we need to begin that. Then it's going to come into the education system. Now the West, if you look at it, for them, I don't know, art has been their culture. You see, there are museums at every street, and it's just a culture that they take the children to the museums, and they have that culture. Here we've not. And again, I'm in defense of our culture. I'm not saying that it's bad for us, because for us it's been the temples. हमारे नाके नाके पे मंदिर होते हैं. So it's the same. I mean, but then are we going to the temple to appreciate the architecture and the beauty? No. We are going there because we want दूध चराना है और हमें कुछ मांगना है या पूजा करनी है. Everything has become very materialistic. So it is at a very core level. Like, seriously, tell me, like, I've gone with my parents to so many temples, okay? I've never looked at the architecture, or my parents never looked at it. We just went, did the puja, and we came out. So what I'm trying to say again is, it's at a very core level. We've had our art, if you ask me, in our country is architecture. Painting has come much later. It's architecture. Our life is art. Our textiles, our pottery, our ceramics, our jewelry, we lived art. हमने रंगोली किया, right? We lived it every day. We make a rangoli every day. It gets destroyed. People walk over it, and again we make it the next day. That's our spirit. Okay, but who's appreciating those rangolis now? Who even knows the values? So yes, at an education level, to answer your question, it even needs to come from parents and teachers. It can't just be inculcated as a subject. And first is this core understanding that art is not entertainment. It's not decoration.
If I can add here, I think you also mean to say that we should stop looking at it from a utilitarian point of view.
Absolutely, totally. I'm so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
recently there are 2 points which I was like, when you were talking, there were like up and down was like that. I don't know whether we can say that we don't have that culture of appreciating art, because when it comes to education, yes, I agree. Because in education, kind of spoil the way we were living earlier. Like, I still remember that very uneducated women, when they used to have vrat, Karwa Chauth in UP I'm talking about, वो दीवार पर एक छोटा सा मिट्टी लीप कर उसके ऊपर पूरा का पूरा एक लाइफ डिपिक्ट करते विद गॉड एंड एवरीबॉडी. कच्छ का बुंगो, that house they make, beautiful, very beautifully. I mean, it is complete art, nothing else, and plus usable. In Rajasthan, wall के ऊपर painting करना, वर्ली and all these things. So मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि we are, and you said later on, then I realized that we are living in that. Unfortunately, when that it came into learning in the school, our teacher started teaching that this is the way you draw human. This is the way, because child never draws as exactly, when you say draw a child, he or she won't be.
Let me just, a child begins with geometry, begins with abstraction.
Yes.
Because that is their understanding.
Yes.
And that can never change. We force them to learn. Their cognition is abstract. They are actually experiencing that in a very abstract form. So if you, for them, the realism comes much later. Okay, sorry, you can continue.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering that because Beluji also asked how, and I'm in education, so I'm more interested in that, how we bring that kind of appreciation, as well as how we change this kind of discourse which is happening in the classroom, and more towards what we were earlier. For example, though you said that we never see the temple because it is a routine for us. हम सूर्य का जल चढ़ाते हैं, पर it is a routine. That is why we don't pay attention that आज का सूरज कुछ अलग है, ऐसा हम नहीं देखते हैं. So what I feel is like when we talk about, I mean, we are continuously living in that, so we don't need another layer on it. Only thing that layer needs to removed in such a way that real original,
No, but
that
see,
appreciation comes out.
we've been colonized in the middle. Okay, so we are very mixed right now. Our whole civilization or our Indian culture. Now, what you're saying that in Bhuj and Kutch and all this happens, it happens in villages, which is it still happens.
Mm.
Like in Maharashtra, there's a Varli village which is continuing this system. But now today, my brother or someone, uh, working in a top finance investment banking, firm, has no idea about this culture.
Mhm.
Okay, and so there are many dimensions to this. So
Mm.
when I'm saying that we need to understand this value of art, I'm even talking from a mass uh, perspective in cities, in the urban cities where they have the money. Like this person, I'm giving an example, and because I get people like this, who are rich, and then they want a painting for the office, and it's very clear, it's very defined. I want red color, I want blue color. I mean, and that is not art, is what I'm trying to say. That is we've come down on that perspective. And even the appreciation, if you see a general perspective, people will appreciate and able to understand realism. Anything beyond that, it people will not understand. So what I'm just trying to say is that we all have to make an effort. We have to work on all levels, not just one level.
Mm.
बहुत
Mm.
काम करना है.
Yeah.
Say something. I think
Right.
Rai wants to say something.
Ravi ji and Rai, both, please, one after another.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Indeed, it was a feast listening to Jaisal ji, and even the discussion that followed her presentation is really of great value. Like just a remark on the discussion, I'm reminded of Bloom's taxonomy, where he says that for any domain of knowledge, there would be two kinds of people: those lots and hordes, lower order thinking skills and those higher order thinking skills. I believe that painting is a subject of fascination and inquiry. For true appreciation of painting or any art, I think a person has to be of that caliber, has to be of that kind, who can really look into that mysticism, as Jaisalji referred to, Kashmiri mysticism. That's number one. Number two, like Kavya, I think painting is also one of the best mediums to express our figures of thought. In Kavya also we bring in our figures of thought, but in painting also it's one of the very potential medium to express our figures of thought. And the third thing which I wish to say is, like even movement like structuralism in linguistics started with painting in France in 1950s, where structuralism in painting and then came to linguistics and literature. It basically says that nothing can be understood in isolation. Everything has to be understood in association with our 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 other parameters. You take language, take life, take painting, take any form of knowledge. Everything is in association. Nothing is in isolation. So in that sense, I think painting is a beautiful form to express that holistic meaning of life, if one has that seriousness and that caliber to understand that holistic meaning. Otherwise, it remains, as Jasalji says, is a form of entertainment. That's all. So one has to train himself or herself before he or she understands the real essence of the meaning which is embedded in painting. But indeed, it was a great
But
pleasure
for
listening
one
to
person
Jasalji.
has to give
Thank
time.
you.
Like, see, now when we go to listen to Zakir Hussain or any classical musician, we are giving that 1 hour's time, right? And we're listening. A phone is switched off, we are paying for the ticket, and we're going. So all I'm saying is that even when we look at any art form, instead of just glancing through it, can we at least give that 10 minutes to understand what the artist has done? You may like it, you may not like it. That is totally subjective. But that time, That's all I'm asking for. Time.
Yeah, true, true.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Rai, please, you take
I
some
just
time
wanted
now.
to say that, yeah, lovely presentation. I just want to be quick and say that we are trying to do exactly that, to bring yoga and art as a daily discipline and as a daily part of our lives, and do yoga through art and art through yoga. And looking through the beautiful beauty lens, not like usually in the West there is a lot of ugliness that came in. You know, if you look at the latest art, if you look all the architecture, everything is getting grayer and flatter, and you know, this minimalism has brought a lot of ugliness also. I'm not only talking about, you know, minimalistic structures and buildings, but also there's a lot of ugly art that came up. So that was inspired me and Monica to start this. A mother's quote, "Let beauty be your constant ideal." And through that, we are trying to bring this as a spiritual discipline in our schools and remove this hierarchy from STEM subjects, for all the subjects. It has to be same, has to be equal. That is our mission.
Thank
Okay.
you, thank you. And Rai and Monica will be on our, in this Kala Evam Adhyatm later. I mean, I think on 18th of October. So,
Very good.
Jaisal, if you are free
Yes.
that afternoon, that evening, please join. That will be very interesting. Looking forward to that. So I'm also conscious of the time here, though I think there are many dimensions. But I don't know, I felt that Monica was drawing something or sketching something. I just felt this movement of her hand. So if you would like to share, please. You have to bring it, unmute yourself, please. And just bring it a little closer to the camera.
So sorry, I was actually playing with when you said vibrations and depiction of light and dark. So can you see, or is it too much? Is it
No,
too
just
hazy?
put in front of your face. Then it will be, yeah.
Here. No.
This,
Yes.
yes.
And
No,
I liked when you said that somebody was experimenting only with pencil. You know, sometimes removing choices makes your work easier, and sometimes removing choices makes it more difficult. So it's playing with that thing that you only have one medium and you have to, pack in everything in that.
Yes.
So
No,
I was actually experimenting with that.
I said pencils. It was light, then everybody would just do orange, yellow color. So I didn't want color.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to give one last example after which we can sign off. Similarly, I used to teach kids, now I don't. But I'd asked everyone to drop water, and again, just with a pencil. Because again, color, they would do color. And even with drawing, I knew that a lot of them would just do a stream like that. But I was like, let me try. There was one child, it was a sheet, okay? And, he just made a square, like the whole frame. So I asked him, how is this water? Please explain it to me. He's like, it's a photograph of the sea. That's why it's a square. Then I said, but the sea is blue. He said, no, water is transparent. It is the reflection of the sky that falls into the sea that makes it blue. So he just painted a square. And this is a child. I think he was 8 years. So we have to ignite their intelligence. They are ready. But it's the teaching that is very done in a redundant way in art schools, because I have been in schools and I know how they teach, like still life and realistic and whatever. So we have to open it. They have the ability. So we can end it here.
Yes,
I hope this answered your question, Kiranji.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
can't
Yes.
kill it. We supposed not to kill it. The rest we don't need to do anything. We just there to preserve it.
Exactly.
Right. So just to acknowledge, Arka ji has sent a couple of comments in the chat box about education. Lot of still need to be developed in so many areas. And the core essence is about gaining wisdom, knowledge over time. Education changes our outlook about external world, how we perceive the outer universe, and making us more aware about ongoing circumstances and situations. Yes. So really, I mean, we can go on and on, but like Kiranji said, we'll have you back for some more interesting and maybe less talking and doing more of art.
Yes.
As facilitated by you.
Right.
Great. So we'll look forward to, I think next week we have, excuse me, something on poetry. So we are really covering a lot of gamut of art. Thank you so much, Jaisal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaisal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to all the participants for really in an engaging discussion. Thank you. Bye-bye.